years ago, a place between the Image region and the capital Velori. Despite the distance, the outer wall of the capital gleamed in her eyes like a sun. After the long and exhausting journey, their tensions eased as they were close to their destination. If everything went according to plan, they would reach the capital via the mountain path in less than half a day, allowing them to spend the night in the comfort of warm beds. Rihim was traveling with her parents in a smaller cart behind the one carrying the goods. The fact that they hadn't taken a break during the journey seemed destined to force Rihim to contend with a lasting rash in her future life of comfort. Despite this, she had not been able to convince her father. Her father made a sharp choice between the well-being of his family and their possessions, ignoring how his daughter, above all, was traveling under the looming threat of a rash. This was not the first time his merchant's mind had led to trouble upon his daughter. His way of living for profit was, in a way, the sole reason why she grew up without a father. The parent-child relationship that should have existed between them had never gone beyond a foreign figure who visited their home occasionally and a child who feared him. He had been so absent throughout her life that even the sibling dreams she longed for had crumbled because of him. With such workaholism, the very fact that Rihim was born could be considered a miracle. Of course, she had ended up with a sibling. It was an ironic surprise from her parents after she had decided that she no longer wanted one. As her mother and father refreshed their love alongside their improving household finances, she gazed at the peacefully sleeping child she was now tasked with looking after. At the very least, the little boy was cute. The problems were never ending because of her father. But this time, it was pathetic. And too humiliating to even dare tell anyone. That damn rash risk. Why do I have to endure this misery? They say the body suffers for the mind's foolishness. She turned her flustered, reddened face to her mother. Since she was used to such journeys, her mother had dressed in a soft cotton shirt and loose trousers, just like her father. She couldn't believe she had been deprived of such knowledge before embarking on this journey. She looked at her mother with envy. You said it was just a day and a half's distance. I had advised you to wear more comfortable clothes, but you never said why. When have your mother ever said anything unnecessary? Look at your age. She had wanted to wear something nice for their move to the capital. At first, there were no problems, but as they neared their destination and the weather grew warmer, the suitcase she had packed for the journey became useless. As someone experiencing such a long journey for the first time, she regretted her hasty preparations, while her eyes were fixated on her mother's mocking smile. Do you enjoy seeing me in this state? She was drenched in sweat from the heat. The bright and uncomfortable fabric of her clothes clung to her skin. The slightest movement caused an irritating friction. Her cheeks had turned red, not from embarrassment, but as if a heat rash had formed from the sweltering temperature. Her arm ached from the fan she had waved brutally in her face. Even the air blowing in through the car window with gauze curtain was hot. No, of course not. I think the experiences you gain through hardships are very valuable. She froze in disbelief. Her mother's method of teaching her, especially as a mother, was incredibly harsh. She felt as if she was an unnecessary addition when looking at her parents' intimate hand-in-hand moments. For a moment, she wanted to cling to the idea that they would soon be in the capital. But misfortune seemed unwilling to leave her side. When the cargo cart in front of them suddenly stopped due to a fallen tree, the dreams she had tied to her bed in the capital shattered. Her father rushed out as soon as he heard the commotion. Seizing the opportunity, she followed her mother, who had gone after him. The journey had taken a very troublesome turn. She couldn't believe that a medium-sized tree of unknown origin, coming from nowhere, had fallen into the middle of the road and blocked the path. A misfortune never seen before on the road to the capital. As she watched her father quietly approach the workers who were inspecting the tree, she took shelter in the shade provided by the slope. Their thoughts about it being a natural event disappeared when they noticed the axe marks on the broken side of the tree. Her father nodded to the man in front of him. It was a signal to act as if nothing had happened. Rihim, understanding the situation, anxiously watched her father approach them. This looks like a trap. The tree was intentionally felled. His words were interrupted by a pipe sound, and the situation was far from reassuring. This was one of the methods the bandits used to communicate, and suddenly the bandits appeared, confirming their suspicion. Get in the car with your mother. her father said in a warning tone as he shoved Rihim towards her mother like a sack, then drew his sword and rushed to his men. "Follow me." Under her mother's insistence, they managed to reach the car in a matter of minutes. They quickly got inside. Her brother, despite all the noise, was still sleeping. What would have happened if we had hired soldiers? She turned to her mother, who was looking out the window, regretful. The workers, being responsible for carrying important goods, were trained well for defense, but that didn't mean they were as good as soldiers. Defense wasn't the same as offense. That's why her father always hired some military units to accompany them, though not for the entire journey. The soldiers would always meet them halfway. Considering the excessive costs of traveling back and forth to Image with heavy loads, they couldn't afford the expensive services and expenses of soldiers, so it was the right decision. Moreover, their convoy always passed through control points along the way. It would have been too costly. They're not more valuable than you. After all, it was the first time she was traveling with her family. She clearly remembered the argument from just yesterday when her father rejected her mother's proposal to hire soldiers for the whole journey to ensure the safety of the children. "Nothing will happen. I'm old enough to protect myself. Just because your grandfather taught you a few things about combat doesn't mean you're a warrior." Whatever. She ignored her mother's dismissive attitude. Rihim knew from past experience that, even though her mother's pessimistic predictions were annoying, they were often right, so to avoid hearing complaints later, she either had to obey or ignore them. But as Rihim watched the small-scale battle outside the car window, she wanted to do something, and it wouldn't align with her mother's wishes. Her hands instinctively reached for the arrows and bow she always carried with her when her mother's sharp warning stopped her. "You can't go anywhere." Rihim smiled sweetly at her mother, her deadly grin on her face. "I'd be more useful outside than sitting here doing nothing. Tell that to your father." She couldn't handle two crazy people. She wasn't going to worry now about the long lectures she'd have to endure later. Giving her mother a wet kiss on the cheek, she surprised her. "I promise I won't put myself in danger. I'll take responsibility." Without waiting for a response, she opened the door and dashed outside to join the fight with her bow and arrows. To avoid her father's attention, she remained more on the defensive. She hoped that the few arrows that hit would weaken the bandits' resistance, but this caused a few faces to turn toward her. As some of the bandits headed her way, she retreated in fear. She had no chance of standing up to them at such close range, so she made the best decision: get as far away as possible. Damn it, why are they following me? Even one of their sharpened swords for battle could cause a large cut if it even brushed her skin. Her rebellion was futile. She started running down the path, using the fallen tree as cover. She aimed her bow and shot one of the men approaching, wounding another in the leg. However, the determined man kept walking despite the arrow in his leg. She realized when she reached behind her back that her arrows were all used up. She quickly slung her bow over her back and drew the dagger from her belt. "Stay back." The man, blinded by pain, didn't listen and kept advancing. Just as she prepared to run, the sound of a horse's neigh behind her made her hesitate. However, the rider who jumped down from the tree in front of her was not a bandit. The moment he entered the battlefield, he turned it into a bloodbath, effortlessly cutting down the bandits one by one, including the one who had targeted her. Wow. Rihim expressed her astonishment. As she became absorbed in watching this horrifying scene, the soldier unexpectedly turned toward her. When he rapidly rode his horse toward the tree between them, she instinctively took a few steps back. His rank wasn't high, but his strong body and sharp gaze on the horse shifted the air around them, creating a chilling rhythm that made rank irrelevant. To escape the overwhelming feeling that revealed the difference in will and power between them, Rihim wanted to avoid the gaze of the man who was scrutinizing her. "You shouldn't be here." She drowned in the disturbing silence under arrogant, filthy eyes. "Fortunately, I didn't get hurt. Thank you for your help. If you're truly grateful, don't stay outside." The condescending attitude of the man who finally answered shocked her. Her eyebrows rose up like a bow. "I was just helping." "I'm sure we could have solved this chaos without your help. Please, let me escort you back to the vehicle before you become a target again." She couldn't believe she was being criticized like a child. She glared at him, who ignored her explanation with fiery eyes. He extended his hand to help her onto his horse. She pursed her lips and withdrew her eyes from his suggestive gaze. Most of the bandits had either escaped or been killed. A few were still fighting, but it was clear they would soon be captured. So with a posture resembling of a proud peacock, she straightened her head and didn't hesitate to escalate the situation unnecessarily. She jumped off the log and passed by the soldier. "I'll go." After her proud response, she heard the soldier sigh and the sound of his horse following her. "You don't need to follow me. I don't take orders from you. I don't want a tail following me. I was hoping to be your shield." "Oh, how nice. If I needed it, I would request it." Although she had the ability to defend herself, he insisted on silently following her a few meters ahead until they reached the car. When the girl turned back, the man, shining like a marble statue, gave her a meaningful look and nodded. Despite being irritated, he wasn't disrespectful. Trying to calm the sudden unease in her heart, she lowered her head and tried to hide her expression. However, her eyes betrayed her pride and once again fixed on the direction he was going. The way he raised his sword to slay the others, and his powerful stance on the horse was a carefully crafted, magnificent scene. Her heart beat faster as she tried to make sense of why this bloody scene excited her so much. She was astonished, and without blinking, she watched him turn the area into a bloodbath with her heartbeats deafening in her ears. This primitive scene had deeply shaken her perception. When she finally opened the car door with a ghostly face and sat down, she easily ignored her mother's presence, while the man's charismatic face that would be the subject of fairy tales, and his attitude devoid of sympathy still occupied her in a corner of her mind. If he were a fairy tale character, he would definitely be the protagonist. But he would also make a very good villain. Although she didn't want to admit it, she realized that something had changed in her heart as it beat unnecessarily fast. But she didn't know what it will be the cost of this change in her heart. In a parallel time frame, a mansion in Image. They've left Image. That fool, he thinks he can use my absence not being here as an opportunity to escape with his family. He's your son. Ah, even if he were my son, what difference would it make? A useless rebel. He can go to hell if he wants, but he will bring my granddaughter back here, he said, his fiery gaze lost focus. The face of the man, known for his calm demeanor, was now wearing a dark mask. I will make sure he brings her back. The plans he had already set in motion were sending danger signals. His right-hand man was concerned because of his attitude. You're so obsessed with the past. Accept that there are some things that cannot be undone. No, I've spent my entire life correcting my mistakes. His eyebrows furrowed deeply like a mountain. He understood why the man didn't want to give up. He truly understood. Still, understanding wasn't enough. I'm sorry, Master, but your granddaughter won't want the fate you've chosen for her, and she'll spend her entire life resenting you. She will understand and forgive me. You're not leaving her any inheritance. This is a fate full of responsibilities she will be crushed under. Forcing her to correct your mistakes is unforgivable. He spoke slowly, carefully. He needed to act cautiously to make the man stop this nonsense. I can't burden anyone else other than my lineage with this weight. I made a choice. Everything I have hinges on this choice. I must hold on to it. I have no other branch to hold on to. The old man's face bore traces of wear and tear like a moss-grown stone. He knew exactly what kind of decision he had made. That's why his face was as broken as a wreck, and his eyes were as dark as a sky deprived of the moon.
In the desert, where love is on the wire, we dance a delicate dance, a camouflage. Under the stars, our hearts ignite. Oh, c'est l'amour, c'est l'amour. Our souls take flight. Beautiful ruins, echoes of the past, like a film noir, a love that didn't last. Through the cobblestone streets, we roll.